Hello, 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 and welcome to the final episode of the Sweden Starting Step series. We left off last episode on the brink of war with Denmark. In this episode, we make the diplomatic play to turn Denmark into our protectorate. Domestically, we work towards replacing our metals company with the Sweden-specific LKAB. We then look to change one or two bad laws that are still lingering around, such as getting off of tenant farmers for homesteading. This way we can end the series in a place where, if we continue the run, we can enter the mid-game in a strong place to begin deficit spending and start growing our GDP and standard of living. Right now, we are about to send the diplomatic play to Denmark, and so we begin this episode on the brink of war. Let's dive in. Let's launch the play. All right. So they have landowners and armed forces in their government. We can't put landowners in our government, though we could put the armed forces. We'll keep an unacceptable government for now, but let's do it. Bump up the military wage. We'll work our way towards getting them to be happy. Let's subsidize the food industry. Now, in terms of mobilization options, we still have tobacco and sugar. So let's add in extra supplies. We could get liquor. We could add first aid in there. We can add a high subvention or the import. So let's add it in. So we want to first take a look at our military. I think when we conquered... Yeah. So we have troops here in Togo. You generally don't want to have barracks in these unincorporated states, so we're going to get rid of these. Oh, well, there's a secession movement here. That's fine. So we can get rid of promote social mobility here, add enlistment efforts. We'll get rid of road maintenance and add it in here. Let's upgrade everybody. So we're going to create a defensive army. It'll be a new army. This will be the first National Guard. So an army that we can keep at home to defend against naval invasions. And we'll add the rest of the conscripts in for them. So we have 30 there. Now we're going to need more weapons. We're going to add in these. That's going to need more steel, so we'll also make sure we are using the Bessemer process. So we'll mobilize. Add conscripts. We'll add these two armies to the front line. We'll forego the Ghana front for right now. And then, oh, and we need some generals here. Ticulus, yes. So Carl Frederick Magnusson. You'll be our defensive general. Although, we're going to need a second general to cover everybody that's going to be there. Here we go. And so, Carl Edvard Hammer. He'll be our other guy. And then, we'll set these guys to blockade. And France has joined. So now Great Britain is interested. So they want us to hand over the Niger Delta, and they will join the war. Let's remind ourselves, it is a very small piece of land that we ended up getting. In the end, it'll cut into our cotton plantations here, but now Togo is more of our main place. We will actually give this up if that means Great Britain will join this war. So let's do it. Goodbye, Swedish Niger Delta. We will have our fond memories. All right, so Great Britain has joined us. Revolutionary sympathizers have begun to agitate for anti-government causes in the barracks of Ghana. Yeah, so we will take this one. Oh, we get +2 Armed Forces Interest Group approval, and that gets us ever so close to getting to +10. The Akan National Movement has begun a propaganda campaign painting Sami people as criminals who will be allowed to run rampant under the new cultural exclusion law. Yeah, we will take this because we'll get 15% added in. We are also now a great power. Let's also bump the taxes up a little bit here, just so we don't go into too much debt for this. Mobs have surrounded an arsenal in Ghana, threatening to seize the arms and munitions stored within. While the guards are staving off attacks for now, if no relief is sent, then the arsenal will fall to insurrectionists. Ooh, let's take the larger chance of going down 5%. There we go. Alright, and away we go. Now immediately we see we have somebody here. We don't want our convoys to be raided, so they're not listed as raiding convoys. So we'll continue to blockade until we see somebody raiding our convoys. Troops in Ghana have reported more and more confrontations with belligerent mobs. Fighting will likely break out soon, even if nothing is ordered. There's only two ways to control the situation: either pull the troops back or tell them to engage. So we'll take this one. Instead of taking plus 25% state penalties from turmoil, we'll take the +1 mortality from turmoil. And we got the secession lowered a little bit. Now it looks like British troops are over here. They could use some reinforcements. Don't know if I want to split anybody off here. I suppose we could split off maybe like 4 troops. Would that make a difference? Not really. We need like at least 15 fully staffed battalions. But our navy is holding its own. Alright, so Zealand has been captured. The manufacture of steam engines has become a profitable industry in Zealand. Thanks to our sound investment in locomotive technology, these engines are already being employed across new Swedish railway lines. Yeah, so we will take the tech progress towards steel railway cars, which is something that is on the list right now. So we've taken Jutland, we've taken Zealand. Now we just need Danish, Schleswig-Holstein. Alright, so we've taken everything. So we're going to send the cavalry over to the Volta front to retake our land here. This also means that now Denmark is losing war score. The performance of an opera with nationalist revolutionary themes at an upcoming festival is being openly associated with the Akan secession movement by its proponents. So we can lower the secession progress by 15%. So we will do that. Something I probably should have done earlier too is raise the Home Affairs institution and law enforcement. Actually, we can increase health institutions. So we're doing quite a few things with it, but we have a lot of excess bureaucracy right now. All right. And Denmark is now a protectorate of ours. So let's start improving relations. Let's offer knowledge sharing. We want to lower their liberty desire. Now we are still going to station an army here, since we have this secession movement. And so we're now a great power, ranked 8th. Although we do need a little bit more prestige in order to keep it. All right, so we do need to add things to build here. Luckily for us, we now can build in Denmark. And it looks like Zealand has quite a lot to build. Let's take a look at our standard of living. Let's see what will increase it. Yeah, clothes. Clothes are a big one. Also, infrastructure. We need infrastructure in Denmark. And so really what we need here are motors. So we're building one there. We have another regional HQ in our midst. We're sending 3.14K reinvestment out of the country. And we have 36,000 unemployed. So let's build 2 more here. Yeah, water tube boiler we can do. In fact, let's check that out in all of our industries here. Yeah, we now don't need the PM in this. Let's go to water tube boiler here. Same here, same in the paper mills. Take a little bit of hit to the GDP, but we need to do it. We will go to market squares here. And now the big thing for labor-saving PMs is going to be the railways. So we really need to start utilizing the railways more, which is why we need to get more motor industries. How much does one level build? 40. We have about 120 units of it in the queue here, so we'll go ahead with this. All right, we can declare some interests. We'll do Congo, because we can start colonizing there as well. We'll do Danubia and South Germany to get Austria. Take a look at Liberty Desire. So it's not really moving. There's not much we're getting from them. Steel. And we're about to go for LKAB in a moment. Let's make sure we have the levels that we need for it. So 5 levels of Iron Mine in Norland. We actually don't have that. All right, so we'll do that next. Open Hearth process. There we go. Oh. There's the secession. So we'll mobilize you guys. And you can go to the front. We need 5 levels of iron mine and a railway. Norland has the railway. So we just need to finish these iron mines. And then we'll switch out Swedish metals for LKAB. The militant wing of the Akan secession movement have claimed responsibility for an explosion at a government building, announcing that the time for open war is rapidly approaching. Well, the secession already happened, so we'll take more radical pops from the... Oh, we don't want to get 15% devastation in Norland. Oh, we're going to get it regardless. So we'll take this. All right, we now have the interest in Congo. So we would like to add a colony here because there's coal here. In Gabon, there isn't as much, and so we'll focus, and we can see Great Britain's going down there, so we'll focus here, and it gives us access to another level of coal. So we'll let this build up a little bit. Claiming that the enactment of cultural exclusion would affect the country's Iwi inhabitants in a disproportionately negative way, their firebrands have riled their communities against the current law proposal. So we'll lose some bureaucracy, we'll get some radicals, but we'll get 5% enactment success chance. I'll take any enactment success chance we can get on that. Now, let's continue to increase relations with Great Britain, because we still have that lobby opportunity active. Alright, so I think this war is going to be okay. Alright, so we're losing construction efficiency in Norland. So for right now, we can get rid of all the enlistment efforts. We'll add road maintenance back in. Do we need infrastructure immediately anywhere? Scania kind of needs it. We're okay in Jutland, and Svealand needs it. So we'll do that. Ooh. Newspapers across the world are reporting about war crimes committed by our soldiers during our recent conflict with the Akan rebels. Ooh, now, we gotta be careful here with our infamy. So this will give us the lowest amount of infamy increase. Our relations with Great Britain will deteriorate quite a bit. Now this horrific reprisals we're gonna get no matter what. So we'll take this. It makes us infamous, but just barely, so... And we have plenty of influence, so we are getting plus 13% infamy decay. And the war is over. Released patients from the Stockholm Asylum have steadily denounced the practices involved in their supposedly medical treatments, mistreatment of the sick, withholding of personal letters, and disproportionate punishments were among the charges. So we can increase standard of living. That isn't so bad, but we'll get those expenses for 5 years, which is quite a lot. We'll take this. North Cameroon is isolated, so we have the lobby opportunity for an alliance. Much better chance now. We could possibly give them North Cameroon. So none of this will really do the trick. Alright, so nothing we can really do, but we do have this in our back pocket in case we need them in war again. The famine in Swedish North Cameroon has sparked criticism of Sweden's economic policy of mercantilism, with its focus on export-heavy trade. So we'll lose 10% authority, but we will get plus 20% trade capacity. Lose 2 approval from the landowners, but they're marginalized right now anyway. Members of the Anti-British Association have discreetly dispatched one of their number to amplify their mission in Sweden's most widely read newspaper. So we don't want to appease the Anti-British Association anymore because we're trying to lean into Great Britain. So we'll do that. Now, if you notice here, the standard of living for our upper strata is very good. Our lower and middle strata is above minimum expected, but not so great. So the next thing we build, we need, oh, it looks like clothing we're actually okay on now. Paper we could use more. So actually most of their goods are fairly cheap. Transportation is a big one for everybody. So let's start getting some imports as well for these motor industries, and let's start building some railways. There we go. All right, we got repeaters, but the law debate failed. And so cultural exclusion is a no-go. So Denmark is starting to increase liberty desire. So because we're now infamous, that's why. They have a lot of fervor. But it looks like their fervor is going down. It's going to go down to 35. So this will actually lower their liberty desire. So we can go for wage subsidies here. So increase wages, which will increase standard of living. It does make wages increase, though. We could go to homesteading. This will put more money in the pockets of some of our lower strata. This is what we're going to try to go for because peasant movement is strong right now, so we'll go for homesteading. Oh yes, and we can lower taxes and add a tax on some luxury goods, so luxury clothes. And there's not enough from luxury furniture that will really make it worth it. Although at this point, negative 4% enactment time doesn't matter as much. So we might as well. We'll put some on the luxury furniture. The idea being we want to tax the wealthier citizens and not the lower or middle. All right, rubber mastication. Let's take a look at our colonies. See if there is any access to rubber. So nothing's been discovered yet. Take a look at our colony here. Is moving along. So we should have enough now to build a coal mine. So let's do that. Let's put some people to work here. The rye farms. Socialism. Now we're up to 7th. So now our interest rate is 7.2%. If we can start getting more pops to start moving in, we can start thinking about deficit spending. Though we just don't have enough pops at the moment to really do that. But we have the interest rate for it. As the debates around the homesteading law stall, Aaron Hawkinson has motioned to pass the proposal to a commission of experts to break the deadlock. So instead of taking on 4K of government expenses, let's roll the dice on this. And it didn't work. All right, here we go. So we can build in the Ottoman Empire in exchange for trade privileges and investment rights. And actually we'll take this. We can get trade privileges with them as well. Let's give it a try. All right. So we've got some investment rights there. It looks like we have another interest that we can declare. So let's look at Persia. So we can start improving relations and possibly start building there. All right, so we can build LKAB if we have another company slot. So we will disband the metals company and create LKAB. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at our executive, Fabian Thornell. Nothing there, and nothing there. Let's add the steel mill industry rights. We have another charter. We have another charter to add. I don't want to give them trade rights yet until they reach prosperity, but we will give them the investment rights if to build some regional HQs. And on top of that, we have some steel mills to sell them. Alright, so nothing immediately yet. Let's improve relations with the United States so that we get some investment rights there. We aren't infamous anymore, so let's take a look at Denmark here. Yeah, so still not going down enough. As our industries have grown more and more crucial to the future of the Swedish nation, so too has the working class. Desperate workers' movements have begun to unite under the cause of socialism. This is an interesting deal. I would like investment rights as well. 35% chance. We'll take it. Let's see what happens. Alright, so now we can build in France. A horrendous first draft of homesteading has every faction clamoring to ram in their desired changes. Aaron Hawkinson has whipped up immense public discontent in favor of a rewrite. Let's see, so the industrialists won't be happy, but we can get plus 10% here, so we'll take that. Alright, so we're now going to switch to steel frame buildings in Svealand as well. So that puts us up to 156 construction points. Though we do have some input good shortages now. Maybe we aren't ready for that, but we'll take a look. Yeah, we'll switch to that in Svealand. And then for explosives, yeah, we'll go to the second production method there. So that helped us with the explosives, not so much the glass. And we could also use some ammunition. Now, where do we have lead? In Svealand. Lead and explosives. So this will give us 50. So we'll build one. This will raise our prestige a bit. Alright, so we're starting to get a little bit more of a decrease in liberty desire here. Law progressed to drafting. Investment rights and trade privileges with Belgium, we'll take it. We now have the Christian Party. In light of the devastation suffered by states like Ghana, the Lantmanna Party has campaigned on uniting Sweden in this trying time behind traditional values. 30% momentum to that party. Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. Whilst campaigning for the Lantmanna Party in the turmoil-racked Gotland, Aaron Hawkinson has been attacked and brutally beaten by a group of unknown assailants. So our land reformer agitator will get wounded and shell-shocked. We'll lose 20% momentum to the Lantmanna Party, or he just gets scarred. Yeah, we'll take that one. Law progressed to voting. Andres Petri has criticized numerous decisions made by the leadership of his own People's Party, calling Emmanuel Geilenstierna excessively cautious and unwilling to address critical issues. Ah, yes, we will take 20% momentum to the People's Party. So we're going to try to upgrade to skirmish infantry to raise our power projection, because this will lower liberty desire. We also haven't upgraded the navy in quite some time. So we'll do it there, where they have natural harbors. Seeking to turn the tide of nationalism to the favor of the People's Party, Olof Lagerberg held a patriotic speech in one of Stockholm's parks. Ah, here we go. We can get plus 3% prestige. That will help us. So we'll take that. Alright, so let's create a need for this munition. So we'll upgrade to skirmish infantry. And we only have 5 here, so we'll do that as well. Let's subsidize it to get it going. And we are going to need more explosives. So we'll add another level there. All right, we're starting to build in other countries, which is good. Get some more wealth into ours. Peter von Otter intends to travel across Norland by train to campaign for the Lantmana Party. Yeah, I'd rather take plus 10% instead of plus 20. All right, we don't need a subvention on lead anymore. Take that off. Same thing goes for liquor. So we are all up to skirmish infantry. So we're now getting negative 0.05 from Overlord's army power projection. And then as we start building up these naval bases, we'll see that increase as well. Regardless of the governing caucus's stance, the fiercest debates on homesteading come from these two. The trade unions and the populace stirred by Aaron Hawkinson's movement. The end is nowhere in sight. Yeah, we'll give political strength to the trade unions. The Christian Party has made a comeback here. All right, so we can keep the intelligentsia in there. So we'll go with this. With socialist ideas sweeping across Sweden, the Bernadotte government has determined that drastic concessions to arrest its progress must be considered. There is sufficient momentum for a rapid policy change. So we can get wage subsidies, regulatory bodies, or nothing. We'll go with wage subsidies. We'll even possibly increase this institution to raise the standard of living for our pops here so they have more money. You can see we're up to 6th. Supporters of homesteading among the trade unions, headed by Aaron Hawkinson, have questioned the government publicly on the amount of time that is required in order for the law to pass. So we'll gain some authority here. The communist movement will gain some momentum. We'll lose 10% bureaucracy. I'd rather not do that right now, so we'll do this. Take a look at the world market and paper. So you can see we've pretty much cornered the market here because of our prestige paper. We're pretty much the only exporter of it. Jotland has come a long way since our attention was first brought to it, going from small houses and scattered farmlands to being on its way to becoming a blooming metropolis. 2 years of loyalists from political movements. I think we can kind of use that right now, and so we'll do that. Oh, Charles Bernadette has died. And so now, Oscar Bernadette, one of our admirals, is now the king of Sweden. So what do we get? We get plus 10% technology spread, which is good. Plus 10 prestige. Plus 50% expedition opportunity. Plus 15% prestige. Ooh, but minus 25% infamy decay. Okay. We have quite a bit of turmoil here, so we're going to continue to raise the law enforcement. We're going to get rid of violent suppression in Togo. This is because I want our paper corporation to have investment rights and start creating some regional HQs of their own. Just as the homesteading law looked ready to topple, the trade unions found itself rallying with the assistance of Aaron Hawkinson. It now has the support it needs to pass without compromise. All right, so we will take this. We can probably... Nope, still can't build more coal. But we can build a gold mine, and we'll take it. All right, gantry cranes. So we can go to industrial ports. So we can now move to steamers. We don't really have enough coal to really justify it. We should we'll raise we'll raise our colonial affairs institution. All right, so we have mutual funds, which is great. We can go to publicly traded in the financial districts, and we have homesteading. We are now in 1867. It's been about 31 years, which is just shy of the first third of the run. We are now ready to enter the mid-game on a strong footing. We're ranked 6th and considered a great power. This is significant because it gives us an interest rate that allows us to start deficit spending. Our GDP is 21 million, and considering we can now enter the mid-game on the brink of deficit spending, we have the ability to spend the mid-game growing our construction sectors and allowing the private sector to build up our economy all while utilizing debt. We already have a company producing a prestige good and have cornered the market on exports of craft paper. With LKAB, we can produce a second prestige good, and so if we were to continue, we would work towards that in the mid-game. In this run, I opted to go with the paper company to start, though it should be noted that the lumber company is a very good option as a first company for Sweden. One of the benefits Sweden has is its abundance of resources, especially lumber. The lumber company is an obvious choice in order to utilize that lumber and export it around the world. The prosperity bonus is also very strong, giving you additional infrastructure, which is needed in Sweden. Obviously, ports can provide you infrastructure as well, and all of Sweden's states have access to the sea. However, ports are difficult to keep profitable after you reach a certain number of levels. Anything that provides free infrastructure is always beneficial, so the lumber company would have been a good first company as well. I opted to go a different route with the paper company for two reasons. The first is that logging becomes less and less profitable as the game progresses. As countries start to develop better production methods, they will need less and less wood, making your lumber company less and less profitable. This is why the lumber company also comes with rubber plantations and the ability to add in tooling workshops. As the logging industry becomes less profitable, these two industries can keep the lumber company afloat. However, you will need to secure a state that has access to rubber, which adds a complication. Also, the lumber company doesn't come with a prestige good. The paper company adds both a prestige good and the ability to add the logging industry. So you can have a company building logging camps, export the lumber, and as that industry shrinks, the paper mills will still be very profitable as paper is needed throughout the entire run. This is all to say, I went with the paper company in this run, but the lumber company is also a good option. I wanted to give an alternative starting company to a Sweden run, and in that regard, I think the paper company with Sweden can be very strong. One major failure of this starting series, which I'm sure many of you have noticed, is that I should have gone for making Denmark a protectorate much sooner. In retrospect, that's probably something I should have done in episode 1 or 2. Ideally, we would have become Scandinavia before entering the mid-game. This way we can get off of monarchy and make it easier to pass better laws. This isn't something that has a major negative impact on us. As it stands right now, we will probably become Scandinavia fairly soon into the mid-game. But I could have done it much sooner, and I should have. Other than that, I believe we're in a very strong place to exponentially grow our economy through the mid-game and climb higher in the rankings as a great power. Thank you for watching the entire series and following along. Hopefully this has been helpful for you as you embark on Scandinavian world domination. If you did find this video or the entire series helpful, please consider giving it a like and the channel a subscribe. A very big thank you to the channel members who help keep this going. I very much appreciate your support. That's it for now. As always, be awesome.